It's a player's handbook. Must be time to take a trinket and turn it into something awesome. And today, the dice seem to want 28. Okay, I guess we'll go with that. And number 28 is a dragon's bony talon hanging from a plain leather necklace. Let's call this one the balance of good and evil. Originally created by the followers of the platinum dragon Bahamut, this item was to be used as a sort of dowsing rod to figure out their god's will. So as this item is held, it will actually direct you towards something that the deity wants you to interact with or see, whether it's a quest item or a location or something like that. So in the hands of a devout follower of Bahamut or just a general good person, it could actually bring some real good into the world. However, with all things, there must be balance. As such, in order to create this item and make it actually work, a second one had to be created, and this one had to be consecrated to Tiamat. And as Bahamut's exact opposite, Tiamat wants to do the exact opposite and bring death and destruction. Now, when this item was created, it was put under lock and key and thought to be safe. However, somewhere along the lines, the two got mixed up, apparently. Oh, and don't worry, nobody's sure which one you have. Oh, it's a player's handbook. Must be time to take a trinket and turn it into something awesome. And today by request is number 18. And number 18 is a 1-pound egg with a bright red shell. Let's call this one Mistakes Were Made. This egg is overly perfect. It has an unearthly smooth shell and has almost a shine to it, and also seems to be invulnerable to any kind of damage. Now DM, that's your cue to be nice and not release this thing too early. For you see, at some point, this egg is going to develop a crack. And once it does, it will start to crack open. Now, whether that takes weeks, months, days, hours, or you can just yeet it against the closest rock and it breaks open, I'll leave up to your DM. But when it does break open, you see a blackish ooze slop to the ground and slowly start dissolving into the ground. And it leaves behind about a dozen moaning creatures, one of which an elderly-looking priest will look up at you and say, "What have you done?" Before they all start dissolving Raiders of the Lost Ark style. All the bodies dissolve together to become a gibbering mouther. Oh, and that slime that got away? It appears you just released Jubilex into the world. But that's for later. Roll for initiative. Let's make a trinket awesome! And today we're looking at number 91. And number 91 is the needle that never bends. Let's call this one Fixing What's Not Broken. While you're in possession of this little needle, you can use it to cast the Mending cantrip. But while that's cool, that doesn't really make this item awesome. Aside from the fact that it never bends, which could be used in some very interesting ways by some very creative players. I mean, just think about the immovable rod. Back to the needle. Up to 5 times a day, you can use this item to stitch back together things that were never actually broken in the first place. For instance, you got a door that you don't want to open? Mend it. A ship you permanently want to affix to the dock? Mend it. An idiot whose lips never seem to stop flapping? But in all seriousness, I think this gives some really great creativity options to your players. What's that? Let's make a trinket awesome. Okay. Well, I think that speaks for itself. We're doing number 2. And number 2 is a piece of crystal that faintly glows in the moonlight. Let's call this one Dancing in the Moonlight. And this one's going to be a little bit different than I normally do. After prolonged exposure to the stone, your character will also start to glow in the moonlight. Some might even say sparkle. As such, you do get disadvantage on all stealth checks in the moonlight. But because of this item's Fey ancestry and Fey magic, you actually gain advantage on all charisma-based checks against the Fey while in the moonlight. And yeah, that's it. But here's the thing. Yeah, this item may seem fairly mundane, but if your players know anything about how I do trinkets, or you do similar things with other trinkets, they're going to spend hours trying to figure out what else is up with this trinket. And in the meantime, they're going to be sparkling away in the moonlight. So sit back behind your screen with a smile, knowing full well that they know there's more, but they're not going to be able to find any. Sorry I've been away for so long, mental health issues suck, let's make something awesome. And I got a lot of requests to catch up on, so let's do number 14. And number 14 is an enormous scale, perhaps from a dragon. Let's call this one Legends of the Hidden Dragon. So a little bit out of character for me, I'm actually going with what the book said. This is the scale of a dragon. However, it's not a normal dragon. In fact, it is thought that this dragon never actually existed, or if it did, it was extinct a long time ago. This scale, which shows varying shades of blue, comes from an ocean-dwelling sea dragon. And while it is in your possession, it gives you the ability to breathe underwater. Also, you gain a swim speed twice that of your movement speed. And if you take it to a skilled armorer or blacksmith, you can have them integrate it into your armor, giving you a +1 to that armor. And then you don't have to worry about dropping it while you're swimming. And now for the downside of this item. If the scale is ever exposed to water that is somehow connected to the ocean, the dragon the scale was ripped from can sense its location. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, it's not extinct, and now you're on its list.